We are Falun Gong practitioners from all over the UK. We gathered together today to mark the 24th anniversary of the crackdown on Falun Gong by the Chinese Communist Party. In July 1999, a brutal campaign targeted the 100 million people practicing Falun Gong, as well as their relatives, friends and co-workers. In a draconian crackdown not seen since the Cultural Revolution, book burnings, mass arrests and imprisonment, torture and forced re-education was unleashed across China. Virtually everyone in China was either targeted or forced to be complicit. Today we call everyone to help us to end this cruel persecution. 大家下午好，我们是来自英国各地的法轮功学员。今年7月20日是中共迫害法轮功24周年，我们在这里举行新闻发布会，希望更多人能了解法轮功被迫害的真相。1999年7月，中共开始了一场针对1亿法轮功学员及其亲属、朋友和同事的残酷镇压。在这场自文化大革命以来从未见过的严厉镇压中，法轮功书籍被焚毁，法轮功学员面临大规模逮捕、监禁、酷刑和强制洗脑。在中国，几乎每个人或成为目标，或被迫成为同谋。今天，我们呼吁所有人帮助我们结束这场残酷的迫害。Our first speaker today is Victoria White from UK Falun Dafa Association. 今天第一位发言的嘉宾是英国法轮大法国际会代表 Victoria White. Welcome.
We gather here today to sadly mark 24 years since the brutal crackdown on Falun Gong began. On July the 20th, 1999, Jiang Zemin, the then leader of the Chinese Communist Party, launched a systematic persecution campaign against the spiritual practice Falun Gong, a persecution that continues in China to this day. Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, is a peaceful meditation and faith rooted in Buddhist tradition and based on the core principles of Zheng Shanren, truth, compassion, and forbearance. These are universal principles for Falun Gong practitioners, truly a way to elevate spiritually. Falun Gong was initially known as a type of Qigong, or energy practice, similar to Tai Chi, with its slow-moving exercise and miraculous health benefits. It was hugely popular in China in the 90s, during China's Qigong boom, and quickly became the most popular form of Qigong in China, with estimates of somewhere between 70 million and 100 million people practicing the faith throughout China, at its peak in 1999. The then leader of the regime, Jiang Zemin, felt threatened by the popularity of Falun Gong. Though entirely peaceful and non-political, the number of Falun Gong practitioners was more than the number of Chinese Communist Party members, and even some of his party officials had begun to take up the practice. The CCP is officially atheist and controls people through fear, violence and propaganda. Naturally, a peaceful faith that teaches honesty, kindness and tolerance became its number one threat. Jiang set up an extrajudicial police task force known as the 610 Office to carry out the crackdown and ordered Falun Gong to be eradicated within 3 months using any means necessary. Police raided homes, confiscated valuables, destroyed Falun Gong materials and pulled people away to detention centres or forced labour camps. Trucks drove down the streets with mounted loudspeakers, blasting out denunciations of Falun Gong, and state-run media reported demonising propaganda about the faith daily. A Hong Kong newspaper reported that 50,000 individuals were detained in the first week of the crackdown. During the first few weeks, Falun Gong practitioners were rounded up, held in stadiums because of the sheer number of detainees could not fit in China's detention centres and prisons. By the middle of 2000, Falun Gong practitioners were being routinely tortured in detention facilities across China, and in many cases were killed from the torture. Furthermore, the freedom to use every means necessary to force Falun Gong practitioners to give up their faith was resulting in widespread atrocities. Such atrocities include the killing of these prisoners of conscience for China's state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting trade, forcibly extracting organs from living people, killing the victim in the process. The harvested organs are sold to Chinese officials, Chinese nationals, or foreigners for transplantation. The China Tribunal, chaired by Sir Geoffrey Nice KC, stated, forced organ harvesting has been committed for years throughout China on a significant scale, and Falun Gong practitioners have been one and probably the main source of organ supply. Edward Fitzgerald KC, who provided expert legal opinion to the tribunal, stated, "We consider that in the case of Falun Gong, the context of the systematic attempt to destroy the group means that the evidence of organ harvesting, if accepted by the tribunal as accurate, does fulfill the legal definition of genocide." Today, looking at it today, more than 5,000 Falun Gong believers have been documented and verified to have been killed through persecution. However, due to CCP censorship, it's impossible to know the real number. The actual number of deaths of these prisoners of conscience, including due to forced organ harvesting, is expected to be far greater. I hope you can support us today by reading our materials or signing our petition, or better still, talk to people you know and tell them about what is happening to Falun Gong practitioners in China.